Well, hey Virgo, how about a reading from your metal dog? We're doing 2023 readings, a little look into where you are as the new year begins. We're going to look at an overall feel and then what you're releasing, what you're embracing, what you're revisiting in this time of retrogrades. We have Mars and Mercury in retrograde. What's hidden from you that the tarot wants you to know, and what may your future bring. Of course, all under your free will. So let's see, Virgo. What is happening with you? We're doing mutable signs today. That means you help us transition from one season to the next. September. You move us from summer into fall. Okay, what's your overall vibe here? Ooh, the Dancer, water. It's an Ace of Cups. New love, divine love, self-love, beautiful grace in your emotional life. And underlying energy is Dreamer 3. Wow, this is pain. This is broken heart. You can see the three birds, the sword, each representing the mind. The swords each have a piece of this heart. So there's a tension that's quite painful between your mind and your heart in a three, and it can be a feeling of betrayal. Here it's described as soul loss. You can see there's this opening in her heart. So this could be a past energy. I can't help but see how this and this hole, we fill the hole inside of us with divine love. Virgo. Okay. And then also we get the Elder 5. And the Elder is, I believe, the Emperor in this deck. I will look. Let me look. Jupiter has just entered Aries. Nope, the Emperor is not. The Elder. Let me read to you from the Elder. What is the Elder normally? Well, okay, doesn't matter. All right. The Tarot of the She. This is a fantastic and powerful deck. Tarot of the She. These are fairies, magical beings. All must grow and all must change, but some things stay the same. My name may be learned, but which would you know? I am the sage that listens deeply, and I am the ancient tree that speaks. It must be the hermit. Yes, this is the hermit. I am the serpent wisdom that seeks the cunning secrets of old in the hidden places. I am the apples of the tree of knowledge, and I am the seed that dwells within. I am fixed and sturdy as the roots, but as reaching as the highest branches and growing to the sky. Oh no, this is the Hierophant. I'm sorry. The Hierophant. Okay. Much has passed before me, and I have seen all. I would teach you some. If you would hear me, sit a while and listen. I am tales of giants in a far gone age. I am truth of ancient gods. I am that which is fixed, yet ever growing, and my trunk is old and strong. Join me and see the pattern of life unfold. You may learn, yet you may teach. Take the spiral path of aged rings. It's in the tree trunk here. And find your sacred elder within. Yeah, this is the Hierophant or the Pope. But Virgo, your card is the Hermit. And this has a lot in common with the Hermit, in that the Hermit is also engaged with history, study of the past, wisdom. So this is the Elder. It's beautiful. And it speaks to us of the Garden of Eden, right? And it revises that relationship with the snake and the apple and the tree of knowledge. It resists the Christian interpretation of that. And I feel like this is what's going on here, Virgo, between the Dreamer 3 and this 5, the Elder, is a shift from that tradition that causes a feeling of lack that we need to fill with a divine source, And then it offers you this ancient knowledge of earth, of tradition, a revision of the story that caused you to feel soul loss and lack. And that this is indeed the divine offering meant here by the dancer, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Water, that emotional beginning. It's very powerful. And seriously, this deck is always blows my mind. Okay. Now, the good tarot wanted to talk with you, Virgo. And I'm going to pull cards from this deck to get into this a little bit further. All right. We're going to ask, first of all, what should Virgo release here in this new year? What have you completed? What's been holding you back? What are you holding on to? It's time to let go of. The Five of Fire. This is such a beautiful deck. The good tarot. Five of Fire is about conflict, competition. I see this magical fairy, a little mischievous. The willpower. So it's like a young person. And the Five of Fire, many can find this to be a difficult card. I find it to be full of creative potential. There's no leader. There's no elder, right? That elder card that we just looked at. There's no dominant voice. And so you get a kind of creative chaos that for me is very fun, where no one's in charge, no one's the boss, and everything is possible. And it's very inspired and fiery. And there could be fighting. You often see a bunch of goofballs whacking each other with wands in a Five of Fire. When you get to the Six of Fire, one will prevail, will be victorious in the leader, and everyone else will look to and acknowledge their will. But in the Five of Fire, this hasn't happened. And so if you have been in a place of creative competition and chaos, or if you have somebody around you kind of feels like a mischievous energy of somebody that won't be bridled. Like I get this unbridled comes into my mind. It's like there's a wildness here. And I guess what I think is, and it was something that somebody said to me in a vision I had, and she said, trust your wildness. So if you're resisting this or trying to control it, we'll clarify and find out more. But I feel like this is about releasing your Five of Fire quality and instead of containing it. We'll look further. That's just my intuitive feeling about this. So what should you embrace? The Two of Water. This is a Two of Cups. This is soulmate connection. It's justice. It's about mirroring and recognizing yourself in the other, like a mirror would. It's like you can see how these two goldfish and these two flowers are alike. Somehow I'm also called to think about interspecies connection between a fish and a flower, right? Like the obvious connection is like with like, but then there could also be this other symbiotic relationship that could be quite beautiful here between the fish and the flower. I have never thought that when I saw that card before. There's a duality with the mutable signs and Virgo. I've known and loved many Virgos. You can be quite private and hidden and like a hermit, and quite out there and loving and nurturing. So you can move between those two states. The way that Gemini is the most obvious mutable sign that's like 2 in 1 and gets a lot of shit for it. But you're that way too, Virgo. Okay, you're revisiting things with both Mercury and Mars in retrograde. There was a tower in your recent past. Your world was shook. I know that's grammatically incorrect. You got shook, baby. And you were surprised. It could be a positive surprise. When Santero reads this card, she often sees this image as a barrier. like something between you. And sometimes I've seen readers look at this as about the ancient. So since we're looking backwards, there's like a barrier between you and clarity. And yeah, I see the aqueduct, I see the ancient structure, and you can see like there's a ghostliness to it coming out here. There's a blurriness, like where you can't quite see clearly in this image. And I don't just think that's my sight. I also see the duality in these two staircases here. So this is what you are revisiting. The tower, we will clarify. See if we can find out more about what happened recently that shook you. Right, and a tower is built on a shaky foundation, and so it must come down, and if you don't take it down, the universe does. So anything we look away from and resist, it feels connected to this soul loss, like this pain and anguish feels like it's in the past, and this is what you were reviewing before you move forward with this. I mean, and if it's like I was talking about, that Christian narrative of Adam and Eve and the snake and the apple and sin and getting thrown out of the garden, right? Like that is a shaky foundation for a society to be built on. It's cause for inequity. It's cause for justification of suffering, of poverty, of like outsiders and scapegoats, right? So on a much larger scale, Virgo, you might consider a tower needed to take that narrative down and be revised the way that the elder revises that, making friends with the snake, the apple, the tree of knowledge. Very much clear to me in my studies that we have forgotten the way that we related to earth and to our embodiment. I mean, it leaves us with this hole, and we end up buying a bunch of crap to put in that hole. And if you listen to my New Year reading for the collective for everybody, I talk about that more. Okay, so now we're going to ask what's hidden from you that the tarot wants you to know. There is a messenger of air. A person has truth for you. Air is suit of the mind of truth. And this messenger of air actually I saw elsewhere as I was shuffling cards. It's a Knight of Swords. It can be a quick energy. It can be a little sharp and rough because it's not a king. It's just a Knight of Swords, and hasn't learned to be gentle with the truth. So there is what might be a jarring truth coming in. It looks uncomfortable in this person here, but there's also a kind of closed eyes surrender to her. I actually see a person in surrender to something where she has accepted the exquisite pain of this truth, whatever this is, Virgo. Perhaps you don't realize that you haven't seen yourself. Something about mirroring in this reading. So you may not yet have recognized yourself like this. There's a grace here in the way, whatever this tower and the pain that it caused. Wow. Okay, the future for Virgo. Temptation. Okay. Card of the devil in this deck is temptation. It's very much about exactly what I was talking about with our extractive relations with Earth. So what I see here is you seeing this, not that you're going through this. We'll clarify, but temptation tells me that this messenger of air, this tower, have brought you into conscious awareness. And this temptation, that's Adam and Eve in the garden, right? That's the apple, right? And there's a heart bitten into this apple. This is it's a revision of the narrative of temptation, of sin, of original sin. I'm not a Christian, but I was raised by a wonderful Protestant minister. And I end up teaching this stuff as a historian because I study the 16th century. It's important, blah, blah, blah. It's really boring. Of course, it's not boring to me, but it might be to you. I won't go into it. So this is about, wow. And I just see, I see the fairy asleep on the apple, which has given this message of love. And then this is ignored. Wealth, the material world. So this is so much about that message of our extractive relationship with earth that is the result of this void that was put in us through this Christian myth that alienated us in the time I study from earth. I mean, if you're white, if you're of European heritage, that happened a couple millennia ago. If you're indigenous American, it happened 500 years ago. That this story that has been so powerful, that has driven our culture so deeply into this extractive, destructive relationship with earth that we are reckoning with today in this context of climate change and crisis. And this is about that. This message is about that. And so that's why you're supposed to embrace, not like with like, but like with earth. This is a relationship that has been forgotten because we've turned away from earth, from land, from what grows. You might be a vegetarian, but you're still eating living beings. We must eat. And wow, living beings, plants, trees, vegetables, lettuce, what we live off of, what we must consume. I learned from Kimmerer, braiding sweetgrass, that we can be in this right relation with what we eat. We can ask to not take too much. We can express our gratitude. We can replenish the source of our food and be conscious in what we consume. We can't not consume, right? So that's the problem with vegetarianism. It's all alive. It all feels. There's plenty of information now that plant life feels us. So we have a few things here going on the bottom of the deck. The kind of reason for the reading, as Cindy of Awakening to Spirit puts it. We have the Queen of Fire. She has a strong will. She has access to the light here, the truth, inspiration. She is capable of manifesting the world that she wants to live in. She is the queen of the law of attraction. Perhaps you might see yourself that way. There is wish fulfillment here, and again we see the chest of treasure. We see the mermaid, and she has in her hand the wished for object, the gift. What is that? What is your wish? Right? The Queen of Fire and the Nine of Water, they're very much about having what you want. But then we get this Eight of Air. And there is a kind of trapped in your mind, air being your mind, or it's an Eight of Swords. It's a perspective. She's focused on this, the lost feathers. She might think, I cannot fly. We can see that she is fully capable of flying. And that's what the Eight of Air is about. Your mind has convinced you that you're trapped. So if you're trapped in this soul loss mindset, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, but it's a frame of mind that makes you feel lack and causes you to try to fill that hole with the wrong thing. And there's something here with the Six of Water. Narcissus, looking at yourself in the water until you drown. It's, Six of Water is about nostalgia. It's about inner child, soulmate connection. But in this deck, it's a trap, right? So you're trapped in the past. In some way, the way that you see yourself reflected. Remember all this mirroring in this. Narcissus comes to mind, right? He's the beautiful, handsome guy that sees himself in the water and can't look away, and he dies somehow. I have to look that up. How is it that he dies? Does he starve? Does he drown? He falls into himself, and you cannot be enough for yourself. And I see that same gesture, the same expression in these two people, in this messenger of air. So let's clarify. Very interesting, Virgo. What are we going to clarify with? Well, obviously, we're going to clarify with this. Tarot of the Old Way. There's definitely something really powerful message to you, Virgo, from Earth, which is your element, from the planet. Even though there isn't actually a lot of Earth or Pentacles in this reading. It's just maybe the decks that wanted to talk to you. Okay. Whew, getting hot. Okay, Five of Fire. This is what you want to release. And to me, it came through as like your wildness. So let it go. Not give it up, but give into it. Give into your fire. It's your embodiment. It's your desire. It's your animal nature. Okay, we get a 10 of Rods. So there's a burden that you've been carrying. You've been very responsible. Virgos will tend to be so. It's the Quit Your Job card. What else? 3 of Cauldrons. These are all the people, your community. I think it's what they think about you. I feel them as very chatty and gossipy. And then, yes, so the burden here of caring over much what these other people think. Be the sun, be your true self. Here lies joy, authenticity. We can see Stonehenge, we can see the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is a very powerful deck. This is a very powerful message for you, Virgo. Whatever this one is in you, the rebellious one, the wild one, the one that is uncontrolled by any kind of leader, give into her, that part of you. Be your authentic self. And to do that, it has to do with this relation here, which you're to embrace, is goldfish, flower, relations. Forget what they think about you, the ones that want to, you care over much about these people, whoever these gossipy people are. Right? Like, look at this expression on this one. You're being watched, you're being talked about. He's kind of blasé. He doesn't care. He's like, I'm having drink. He's just a drunk. But he's not standing up for you. That's funny. It's a very clear message. That's a burden. Let it go. Be yourself. Period. Okay. 2 of Water. Justice. Just right relations between goldfish and flowers. Okay. 5 of Cauldrons. 5 of Cups. There is a cup being offered you, but you're focused on your losses. But it's a passageway. You may always turn around and accept the love that is being offered once you're done grieving. Grief is important. 10 of Swords. See? Your mind. Something is over. Not bad. It's been painful, though. I see your pain. Wow. And there's the 8 of Swords again. There's that trap, right? We saw this here. You feel like you can't leave something, but you can fly away. You can walk out. So weird. Why would you embrace this, right? Pain, and feeling trapped. So something has ended. You feel grief. There's an Ace of Cups being offered to you. Right. There's that Ace of Cups, right? It's this, the dancer. Dance, trust the divine, trust self-love. When you turn from these losses, it's not easy to embrace this change because it comes before you can reach for this Ace of Cups that this reading is about, this Ace of Cups, a new beginning, this divine love. I feel like it is like divine love. You have to accept that something is over. 10 of Swords is like, dude, it's been stabbed 10 times. It's dead. It's over, right? This old way of understanding is over. And it's painful to let go of it because, like, it's your mind. You built like a whole paradigm of it. You're emotionally invested in it. In some ways, it defines you, and so you can feel trapped in it. But there is an Ace of Cups being offered to you. It is a divine love. It's new, it's young, it's a little child offering this Ace of Cups. It appears, because of the way that this Two of Water is coming in, it's not obvious. It's not like with like. It's interspecies across goldfish and flower lineages. But it's hard to embrace this, because to embrace this new way of living, the one that allows you to give up this soul loss, this conflict between your heart and your mind, to embrace this, it's not even a new way, it's an old way. It's remembering an old way that's not ashamed. It's not ashamed of being Eve in the Garden of Eden and wanting to eat of this apple that promised you the knowledge of good and evil. It's embracing that 5 of Fire, that impulse. This one, it's letting her loose. And it's not easy. I mean, this is swords. It's in our minds. It's the 8 of Swords. It feels like there's no way out. I think I made my point. Okay. What you are revisiting is this Tower, this shock. Something happened in the past. You're reviewing it. It showed you that something was built on a shaky foundation. It doesn't feel like a bad shock. I never think of this Tower as, I like that Santero, another channel, Santero, I like that she interprets this as a block, a barrier between seeing and what I see as blocked, I've never noticed before, is this aqueduct, right? This beautiful ancient way, pagan Roman construct is behind this sort of newer, it's sort of like a newer Renaissance Christian era structure. I don't know. I'm not an architect or historian of architecture. If you are, please correct me. But what comes into me is that there is a newer construct that prevents us from seeing. So this is your Tower. We're looking back in the past. Seems like the ancient past, doesn't it? 4 of Cauldrons. Definitely, these two people are unconscious. 4 of Cauldrons, 4 of Cups. In the way that it looks to the past is, you look at the past and you think, I never get what I want. It never works out for me. And so you can quit wanting. This one is an interesting interpretation of the 4 of Cups, because the people have lost, they're asleep. They're asleep. They're dissociated from their emotions, from their feelings, from one another. And they're not seeing that Ace of Cups right there. You're not seeing it. And that's this obstruction of the Tower. What else? A Nine of Cauldrons. Card of wish fulfillment. We've seen her before. We see it again. This is the Nine of Cups here. This particular Nine of Cups, I never want this. This is not an idea of wish fulfillment to me. It looks excessive to me. It looks like another kind of unconsciousness. They look miserable. I see the apple on the table. Again, we're drawn to think about apples. Revising the story. An Eight of Cauldrons. Okay, in an Eight of Cups, there's something missing. It is the Ace of Cups that is being offered to you in this reading. You are discontent. You must leave and go on a spiritual journey. The message here is so repetitive, Virgo. So you are revisiting. It's almost like you fall asleep. And in your sleep, like your subconscious brings in this sense of unfulfillment, and that even what you seek, when you seek fulfillment, the Nine of Cups, isn't really fulfillment. There's a lot of this going around. Like the sun came up in my New Year reading as, you know, we need to revisit and revise what we mean by happiness. What is our wish? And it came in there as like, is that it? Shouldn't we want something else? Couldn't we want something more? Are we really, is this it? That's what I remember. That's what I'm repeating for you here. Okay, what's hidden from you? This messenger of air. I said she looks like she has surrendered to pain. So let's see. What else? What's this? What's hidden that the tarot wants you to know? What is this? Knight of Swords. What's the message? King of Swords. King of Swords coming up a lot here. Aligning your mind and your heart. To me, it's like the opposite of this. This Three of Swords, conflict between heart and mind. King of Swords, wise, has gone to war, has used the truth like a weapon, sees the consequences of that, has become deep and kind. I see this seriousness. To me, it's not intellectual. Like being a king of swords, like intellect, you can play with it. You can be brutal with it. Messenger of air can be brutal with the truth. The king of swords has gentled the truth, has even really put down the sword instead of wielding it, is just kind of resting on it here. Okay, what else? I get really captivated by the King of Swords. To me, it's the male counterpart to the Strength card, which shows feminine, the feminine love, controlling or sort of gentling the lion, the inner violence. Okay, so then we see Eight of Pentacles, skill, work. One more. Five of Rods. Okay, this card. See what I mean? A bunch of goofballs having a big silly combat. What are they building? I see the A. They're building anarchy. Okay. What's hidden from you? Yeah. I feel like, again, it's just a repetition. There's been this seriousness about work for you, Virgo. Pentacles, that's your sign of earth, pentacles. Your earthy Virgo nature. The truth is, and it's delivered to you in the kindest possible way, that this is a lot more fun than what you've been trying to do, which is this solitary, serious labor. Just so serious. As much as I love the King of Swords. Too serious. Be silly. Be free. Play around like this. That's the truth that you can surrender to. And it's not a brutal truth. Why is it painful? It's painful again because you're so committed to this mindset, this frame of mind that we saw under the Two of Water. It's very painful for you to give this up, this old way of looking at things. This way, though, it leaves you in a state of soul loss. Okay? So in the future, we see you embracing the apple. This is a revision of this story. And it doesn't have to be, as I've said, Adam and Eve, the apple, the temptation, the fall of man, original sin. It's some story that's your story. And it's a story that you're committed to, and it hurts you. And what it does is it restricts you. Restricts this 5 of fire, 5 of rods, playful, fun, anarchistic, uncontrolled lightness, and inspiration. And the reason that you feel restrained is you care about what other people think, but also you're fundamentally committed to this old paradigm, this old way of understanding wish fulfillment. It's actually not as old, though, as the way you seek. Because if you look behind that truth, you find a much older way. And this much older way is represented by this, the elder, this revision. The snake, the apple, the tree, the she, they're all finding their way back to a tradition that is a remedy for soul loss, in which you skillfully dance here in your emotional completion. This is beautiful, joyful, authentic grace. This is what's being offered to you. And the pain of clinging to the old way isn't worth it. So, temptation, the future. We see you in right relation with the apple. You ate your heart out of this apple. And, okay, there's you, hardworking Virgo, you've planted your seeds. It's a hot summer day, you're waiting for your crop to bear fruit, perhaps apples. The 9 of Pentacles, very Virgo energy of self-sovereignty. You know your worth, you know who you are, you're grounded in the earth. Which is your element, Virgo, and justice. So this is coming up quite a bit. This is like the 2 of Cups, right? That we saw here, the 2 of Water. A new form of justice. I find it to be a weird justice card. Right, as is traditional, we see the scales. Instead of a sword, he holds, what is that? It's some other tool, like you tell me, what is that? Then we see this really beautiful heron. That's the truth. The sun is shining from it. Authenticity. This is the sword in this. Wow. This is when you, wow. It's repetitive. Again, balance, the balancing justice is a revelation about who you are. 9 of Pentacles. Who you are, sovereign of yourself, not caring what these jerks have to say about you behind your back, but you know who you are. You worked really hard, 7 of Pentacles, to know who you are. And you can rest here, having eaten of the truth. This is the apple that grew on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And you can rest, sleep, knowing that truth, right? You accepted it. It was difficult, right? It's painful because, I'm a Scorpio, so it's hard for me to really understand your resistance, like your commitment to this old concept. But we see you in the future knowing 9 of Pentacles, your sovereignty of yourself. Like, you're not ashamed. You know who you are because you ate of that apple. And it is something that I can't quite completely see, but I know it has to do with an old paradigm, the one that's hidden behind this tower. It's an old paradigm from ancient times before Christianity. It has to do with your relations with Earth. Wow. Okay, affirming that here. An Ace of Rods. Just a new beginning, but look, there's Stonehenge, there's a transformation signified by the butterfly, there's a sun shining on that ancient, even more ancient than Rome, and then the star, naked, in her emotions, 1 foot on land, 1 foot in the water, healing, divine support. She pours her emotions out on the water and on the land. It's wish fulfillment. It's a new concept of wish fulfillment, but it's an old concept. It's an old, you can release. So Virgo, I think of you with virtue, because your Virgo shares a root with virtue, and virtue means green. It means strength. It is a part of masculinity, virility, right? It's power. But if we go back to that ancient understanding of power in the green, in spring, it's something very ancient that we've forgotten. And we're all being guided to remember it. And you are really, yeah. So it's in the past. That's why the Six of Water is here. Once you see it, you are free of your old concept, which you have invested. Queen of Fire, Nine of Waters. You have really committed to this old concept, but you're ready to release it. You're ready. You can feel how it hurts you. There's a Three of Swords here and a Ten of Swords. It's very painful for you to hold on to this, and it's also a loss to let go of it. So respect to you for your process. It's really beautiful where you're going, though, and I hope I have conveyed this in a way that is clear, as clear as it can be to me, because I'm trying to remember this myself. I cannot see it. I'm trying to remember it too with you, Virgo. So, wow, let me know. Have a beautiful day.